makers. Everyone put your hands together.
Hey guys, my name is Constantin, and I'm a product manager on the games team here at Facebook. Is everybody excited? Yes? Yes? Yes, awesome. I'm excited. This is my excited face. I have a very non-expressive face. So anyways, we're talking about solving discovery for games today. And let's unpack that for a second. Let's actually clarify what the problem we're trying to solve here is. If we look at the app stores today, both on the iOS app store as well as Google Play, there's over 1 million apps and games that are represented within these stores, right? And your games are just one of these, or maybe a couple of these. If we turn this around and we think about it from a player's perspective, like myself, I come to these stores and I'm looking for something to do. I'm looking for a game to play. I'm looking to have fun, right? Maybe I'm looking for a game that expresses my point of view. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, I'm looking to have fun, right? To have a good time. And one of the differences, or one of the things that the app stores kind of have issues with, is that not all players are the same, right? We have different expectations. We're different people. We have different motivations. And frankly, we just like playing different kinds of games. So my mom might be super into a match 3 game. In my case, I might be super into, say, kind of like turn-based, tactical RPG that's science fiction with like a 50s slant. Very specific, very different, right? Like Fallout, that's what I want to play. The original Fallout. So finding that kind of stuff on the app stores, though, are inherently different, or very inherently difficult, right? Because we're different people and we have different expectations. And one of the problems is that screen real estate is limited on those app stores. So this is pretty, again, apparent if we look at them. When you come to the homepage of an app store, there might be a couple of featured games. There might be some curated lists. There's probably some top grossing or top paid or top free lists again. And these are generally one size fits all. So while there's a pretty decent chance that there's a good match 3 game in there, it might not be the one that my mom wants to play, or maybe she's already played it. And in my case, where I want to play this turn-based tactical RPG that's science fiction with a 50s twist, it's pretty unlikely I'm going to find it in this page. And that's the next issue, is that people's time and attention are limited. There's only so much time that I can invest in trying to find this content and trying to find this game that I really want to play. And I think that's really what the problem is. At the end of the day, what we're talking about here is connecting people. We're talking about connecting players to game developers like you guys that are making these great games. And at that point, you guys can kind of connect and share these experiences and have a great time together. Or if we want to turn it around from a developer's perspective, it's about finding the right audience, right? It's about finding the people that are as passionate about the games that you guys want to create and passionate about playing them. So at Facebook, we believe we're pretty uniquely positioned to help solve these kinds of problems. And we'll be talking about it today across these 3 different kind of areas. The first one is great social experiences. And this is pretty straightforward. If I'm a player playing one of these games and I'm passionate about it and I'm having a great time, I want to share these experiences with my friends, right? It's inherently social. This is just something that how we do. This is how we express ourselves and communicate. You can think about this as like having a conversation at a bar or at a coffee shop or at a water cooler. Maybe not a water cooler. And so what we do is when I checked out this game last night and I thought it was hot, and I know it's something that might be right up Vishu's alley, like something that he's interested in, I will tell him about it. I want to share this experience, and maybe we won't play together physically, but we do want to share the same experiences together because we both have the same kind of passions. And so when we talk about building great social experiences, that's really the key of what we're trying to express here. And how do you use the Facebook platform to kind of turn up the volume and do this at scale? The next thing we're going to talk about is cross-platform reach. And you can think about this basically as getting your game everywhere a player wants it to be. So if I'm on the bus or on the subway and I'm going to work, it might be on my phone. If I get to work and I'm in between meetings, it might be on my desktop or my laptop. If I'm at home in front of the television, it might be on my tablet. And so how do we help you get the game everywhere that it needs to be so it's top of mind for players and they can easily get right back into the experience? And again, the Facebook platform is cross-platform by design. The last thing we're going to talk about is distribution, which is, again, pretty straightforward, both organic and paid. So this means using the App Center and how to get placement there, as well as other organic channels within Facebook, and then as well as using our ad products and kind of leveraging their power to get that big growth that you guys want in terms of driving new installs, as well as re-engaging stable users. So we'll start off with great social experiences. And before we get into the tactics and the actual products that we're talking about using here, I want to take a minute and talk about this people-first language, or in our case, player-first language that you guys have been hearing about today. This is one of the key themes at Facebook and with F8 this year, and so I want to take a minute to really explain this. When we talk about being player first, especially when it comes to sharing, it's about empowering users to share the moments and the experiences that they're passionate about in a way that they control, right? It's pretty straightforward. It's about sharing or asking them to share at opportune moments. It's about giving them control to decide who they're going to share with, what they're going to share, when they're going to share. And it's making sure that they understand the experience and are not surprised, right? It's always a positive, delightful experience. And that's generally how we feel about things being player first. So if we want to map that to games and the kind of experiences that game developers like you guys are building, I kind of think about it across these like 3 high-level points. So the first one is Fiero moments. When I'm using Fiero here, we're talking about this moment of triumph, right? That moment of exhilaration that is inherent to building and playing games in general. To give a concrete example, I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone over the weekend, right? It's a good game, having a lot of fun. Yes, that guy plays too. You're probably better than I am, but nonetheless. I've been kind of playing up the rank ladder, and I'm not particularly very good at it, but every time I gain a new rank, I feel great, especially when I hit right into that level where things start to equalize and I just can't progress, but I know I'm rank 12 in this case. These are the kinds of moments that generally yield Fiero moments, right? These moments of exhilaration. When I'm in that match, maybe I've been getting a poor draw, I don't really know how to progress, and then all of a sudden I get the right couple of cards, my strategy kind of clicks, I play them and I win and I succeed. I feel good about that. That's the kind of thing I want to share. That's the kind of thing I'll come to work to talk about with my friends. And that's the kind of thing that we'll bond over, right? If we're just talking in the garage, meeting new people, these are the kinds of experiences that we use to communicate through games. At a high level, that kind of bifurcates into competition and the other side of the coin being cooperation. So competition is pretty straightforward. Again, it's this Hearthstone example. When I'm put in this position of plight and I'm kind of battling to succeed, and it could be against my friend, it could be against a rando on the internet, it could be against the machine for that matter, the result of that, again, is one of these exhilarating moments that I want to share. The other side of this would be cooperation. So as a people, we are social, right? As a species, we do things together. That's how we do amazing things. That's why we built all of this stuff. That's why we're here, and that's why I'm talking to you guys, because together we can accomplish great things. And so within a lot of games, especially social games, you could take advantage of that, again, to yield these great kind of expressive moments. If we want to look at it again as kind of another, maybe I guess, core example in this case, I used to raid a lot and play a lot of Warcraft. And when I have 25 friends, or in the old days 40 friends, and we all work together, and we do this intricate dance to defeat this encounter, or defeat some boss, maybe we wiped a couple times trying to get there, but then we succeed, again, we feel good, right? High fives all around, everybody's excited about it. These are the kinds of stories that we want to tell to each other. And these are the kinds of moments that we should be trying to empower users to share within the great games that we're creating. So tactically, the first place to start is the share dialogue. This hopefully should be familiar to many of you that are already building on Facebook today. And the share dialogue is a really easy way to share both structured and unstructured content back to Facebook. There's no login required, so there's nothing fancy that you need to do in terms of authenticating users. For even the most casual game, something like Flappy Birds, where you're just playing a simple game and you get a score, you want to share that score, and it's very easy to do. You press one button, you'll then be kind of like swapped over to the Facebook app where you get a form. You can pass along a screenshot or a high score, an open graph set of actions and objects, pretty much whatever you'd like. And again, the user is now empowered to take control of this experience. They can see what they're going to share. There's a preview. They can select their custom audience that they want to use. And they get to choose when the story is actually posted. It goes to Facebook. Again, assuming it's one of these great moments that they're proud of, it leads to likes and comments. That leads to more distribution, and everybody's happy. The share dialogue is really easy to implement. Here's kind of a quick example. This is the iOS SDK. Again, you invoke this method. You pass along a couple of parameters that pass the information that you want to share. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. To get a little bit more complicated, let's start talking about requests. So how many of you guys are building games on Facebook today? Awesome. And you guys are using requests? Yes, same people. Great. So requests have been kind of one of the predominant ways and kind of fundamental to building social games on Facebook for some time. They're a great driver of growth through invites, and they're a great driver of engagement, basically getting players to keep interacting with each other and coming back to the games. For those of you that are not using requests today, you can kind of think of it as a one-to-one communication between a sender and a recipient, meaning that if I send you a request, you'd see a notification on Facebook, your phone, etc., that says Constantin sent you a request. And then when you click on it, you'd come back into the game and you could process that action. If you had not installed the game, it would be treated as an invite, and you'd see Constantin invited you to check out this game. One of the problems with requests is that this string, Constantin sent you a request, is opaque, right? It doesn't really mean anything to anybody. So when a recipient is looking at it, if they're already familiar with the game and reasonably engaged, it's going to perform pretty well. But we can do better, and that's what we're doing with these improved requests. We're adding context to requests through the power of Open Graph. How many of you guys are familiar with Open Graph? Awesome, way more of you, that's great. So this should look pretty straightforward then. If we have a request, like Constantin sent you a ticket, again, this structured request, send is the action, or the action type in this case, the verb, and ticket is the object, right? This is the thing that we're actually sending, or the noun in the sentence. The action types we support with these improved requests are send and ask for. We both launched these at GDC this year, and we're introducing a new one today called turn for turn-based games. So this is Constantin played his turn. You'd see, in this case, you'd see a notification that says it's your turn, it's Constantin, within whatever game this is. What's great about these is that they're common actions. There's really nothing special you need to do, and there's no configuration necessary. So a lot of the Open Graph complexity that you're used to with custom actions is not present here. The other thing that's great about this case is that there's no review required. So you can start using this stuff immediately. When it comes to the objects, you can construct any type you like. There's no restrictions here, and there's also no review. And if you want to do this with the object browser, you can use a GUI to do this, take care of it, instantiate your object at once. Or you can use the Object API to do this at runtime in a mobile game. Implementing is pretty easy. As again, it's 2 new parameters that you're passing. So in this case, there's an action type and an object ID. So the action type would be that string, send, ask for, or turn. The object ID would be the ID that you get back from constructing this object. And this example, again, is in iOS using the request dialog. The other thing that we're introducing today and be rolling out this week is support for this into Insights. So you'll be able to see these different kinds of action types or requests as well as the object types, and you'll see how they're performing against your players. As a result, you'll be able to kind of like dial up the things that are working well and kind of turn down the ones that are not. So in our early testing, what we've seen is that when you send a request to a user, the recipient, and that item has value to them. So for example, maybe I'm blocked in a game because I ran out of lives and I need a life to progress. And then Vishu sent me a request that says Vishu sent you a life. I'm inherently going to click on that because I find value. And this is what we've seen in our early testing. By sending people things that they care about, they're more likely to click on them. It's not really rocket science, and it makes sense. So with Insights, and again, these structured requests, you can optimize these experiences, again, to be player first, to be sending things that people find value in, and to then optimize them for conversion as a result. So moving on with requests. Again, for those of you that are using it, this dialog on the right should be pretty familiar. This is our desktop MFS, or our multi-friend selector. When you invoke the request dialog to send a request, this is the kind of thing that you'll see. And so what the player is seeing is a list of friends that are eligible to receive these requests or these invites. What we're introducing and rolling out now is the concept of ranking to these dialogs. So you're basically going to get all of the background and experience that we have in terms of optimizing, in this case, the friend list, to be showcasing the friends and bringing them to the top that are most likely to be interested in this content, which is great, right? As a result, people are sending requests to the right friends that find this valuable, and those friends, because they're interested in the content, are most likely to click. So this will drive up conversion rate as a result. The great thing here is that if you're using our native dialogues, the native multi-friend selector, there's very little to no work that you actually need to do. You'll just get this tab for suggested friends and get, again, all of the benefits of our expertise in this kind of stuff. But what about if you're building a custom multi-friend selector? This is pretty common on Canvas games today, apps on Facebook, where you use our APIs, the Graph API and the request dialog, to build your own experience, right? Your own UI around powering these kinds of things, especially for things like invites. So we're introducing a new API today called the Invitable Friends API. This API is going to return to you exactly that set of users that haven't installed the app, that are eligible to install your game. And we're going to rank it by the people that we believe to be most likely to be interested in it. So again, you're going to get all of the benefits of our ranking. You're going to get exactly that set of people that are eligible to be invited. And it's going to be in a simple-to-use API that you can then use to build your own custom UI around it that's native within your game. So if we wanted to look at what that looks like, again, it's pretty straightforward. It's on version 2 of the Graph API. Yay for versioning. The endpoint is invitable friends. Nobody was really excited about that. You guys aren't excited about versioning? Yes, versioning, it's awesome. So invitable friends is the endpoint. where we're going to return to you a list that includes a token or an ID that you can send the request or the invite to. We're going to give you a name, first name and last name, and we're going to give you a profile picture. This is basically everything that you need to construct this custom UI to send invites to users. So just to recap really quickly, what did we talk about? We talked about building great social experiences that are people first, or player first in our case. Again, this is making sure that people are educated about what's going to happen. They're in control of the sharing experience, and they're comfortable about what's being shared. It's stuff that they care about. It's something that they find value in, and it's conversation starters. It's things that people want to talk about. We talked about how using Fiero moments and things like competition and cooperation are great things that kind of yield these Fiero moments. We talked about the share dialogue, which is pretty interesting and pretty easy to use. If you're just getting started building games with Facebook, this is the first place to start. There's very little commitment. It's very easy to implement. Allows you to share most things back to Facebook. Another thing I should actually call out that I didn't is the message dialogue that we're also introducing, which allows you to do a private share. You can grab me in the garage if you want to talk more about that later. We talked about improvements to requests and how requests are fundamental to building games with Facebook. We talked about how you can use them to drive engagement. And we talked about how you can use these improved content-rich requests to leverage Open Graph to add more context to users, and again, have a better experience that ultimately yields better conversion for you. We talked about the ranking we're introducing, and again, how you'll get all of the benefits or expertise in this kind of manner just by using our native dialogues. And then we're also talking about the new Invitable Friends API that we're rolling out today, which gives you access to the set of friends that have not installed the app, that ranks them, and allows you to build your own custom invite experiences. So next we're going to talk about cross-platform reach. And if you remember, the way to think about this again is getting your game in front of players everywhere that they want it to be. As Mark mentioned, the Facebook platform is cross-platform by design. Right? We built this thing to allow you to have social experiences across each individual platform or device that you might be using. If I want to play with my friends, if I want to play with Vishu, for example, I don't care what kind of phone he has. I don't care what kind of OS he has. I don't care what kind of desktop he has. I just want to play a game. And by making your app cross-platform and using Facebook to power things, again, like login and identity, to power sharing, maybe less so ads and app events in this case, you can use the Facebook platform to kind of transmit this experience across different platforms and across different devices. And again, be player first, right? You're empowering people to play with each other and to share. We support a couple of SDKs in this case for Unity, JavaScript, iOS, Android. And the best thing, too, is that the Graph API itself is just a RESTful web service, right? So it's available anywhere that you need it to be. And again, it supports all of our core products. Login, sharing, again, you can take advantage of our ads as well as app events to help improve your ad performance. What we've seen is as a result of building your game and making it cross-platform, you kind of have multiplicative effects. They're not just purely additive in this case, meaning that because the game is everywhere I want it to be, I just don't play a little bit incrementally more. I play quite a bit more, as is evident with some of these numbers. And this is because by easily transitioning across these different platforms, where my session kind of resumes, where my login is persistent, where any kind of state within the game I have is persistent, it's really easy for me to just pick up where I was, pick up where I left off, and continue the experience. So again, the example, I'm on the bus, I'm checking my phone and playing some game, I get to work, I want to continue and play on a bigger screen. It's really easy to do that, and I can immediately get back into that state of flow, which again will kind of lead to this high engagement, highly engaged user. And best of all, payment volume also goes up pretty significantly, which is great because we want to keep the lights on, right? If we want to look at a case study, let's talk about House of Fun. So this is a slots-based game by Playtika for Pacific Interactive. They use Facebook for a number of different things, basically across the gamut of the set of products that we offer. They use Facebook login for cross-platform identity, right? So again, this is a login in one place. You authenticate the user. They can carry their state across different platforms and different sessions. They use Parse to power push notifications, which is great. I mean, if you guys haven't checked out Parse, you really should. It's a fantastic set of products. They're around in the garage today. You should talk to them. They're also talking in the build track. But in this case, push notifications are extremely powerful, obviously, for mobile devices. And Parse lets you abstract these things out and easily deliver these push notifications for all of your users that are playing games. They use sharing and requests, which we talked about. And then finally, they use mobile app ads, again, to quickly grow and get, again, great preserved growth for their apps. After we talked to them about this cross-platform thing, there's a couple of key learnings that we took away. One is that shared sessions across platform yield better engagement. This is what we were just talking about. If I can log in one place and log in the other, and my sessions are preserved across these things, it more quickly gets me back into flow, it more quickly gets me back into the experience, I'm more engaged as a result. And so this is something that you should optimize against. It's irritating to have to like load a saved game potentially, or log in again, or anything else like that. What can we do to make this experience a little bit more seamless? Rewarding cross-platform play also kind of makes sense. If I have the game available across multiple devices, and maybe you have a login bonus or something for every time I log in on desktop, you should have another multiplier or another kind of bonus or something like that to reward the user to logging in on a different device, on their phone or their tablet. What you want to do here is kind of enforce this cadence, again, that your game is everywhere that they want it to be. So whenever they have the itch, they want to play the game, whatever else it is, whatever device is with them right now, they can pick up playing. And by having these kind of reward mechanics, you're reinforcing this cadence so they get used to this behavior. And again, are playing your games all the time. And then finally, the last one, which should be pretty straightforward, is keep your ports high quality. Not all devices are the same. Not all platforms are the same. If I'm on a phone, I have a small screen and one thumb. If I'm on my PC, I have a big screen and a mouse and a keyboard. If I'm on my tablet, I have a medium-sized screen and two thumbs. You should be building your experiences to take advantage of each of these strengths, rather than kind of like hastily porting across them. And what we've seen, again, after talking to these guys as well as in general, is by having high quality ports, it doesn't feel like a step down when you play on a different device or a different experience. And again, it gets to this point of getting your game to everywhere a player wants it to be. And they're not playing necessarily the kind of the crappier version or whatever else it is. Same experience, same state of flow, same high engagement. So with that, I'd like to bring up Vishu, who's going to be talking to you guys about distribution.
Thanks, Constantin. Hi, everybody. My name is Vishu Gupta. I lead the engineering team for games at Facebook. The theme of today's F8 and the thesis behind the games platform at Facebook is that people want to play games. And our job as a platform is to let you guys focus on just building the game itself while we take care of pretty much everything else for you. For example, the stuff that we're talking about right now is that you can build the game, and it's our job to make it so that it shows up in front of the right set of people so that they can discover the game, engage with it, and play it for a long period of time and enjoy it. As Constantin talked about, people inviting their friends to play a game with them or recommending a game to their friends is a really beautiful mechanic. And it works across different platforms through the set of products that we're building. But as developers, you also want to be able to reach the users that you think that will want to play your game, and you want to have that power as well. And that's where we talk about a bunch of other surfacing things that we do, like paid and organic both. So mobile app install ads, and we've talked about it during the keynote today as well, is one thing which lets developers really use the power of Facebook's ads platform and the targeting capabilities to reach exactly the kind of people that they think will enjoy their games. Various case studies that we have run consistently show that due to the fact that you're only acquiring the set of people who will engage with the game that you want to play your game, ROI from mobile app install ads is significantly higher as compared to other ad platforms. As we talked about, more than 350 million installs have been driven by mobile app ads since January 2013. And it's actually a pretty standard part of user acquisition strategy for most high-quality games at this time. Majority of games across top grossing lists on both iOS and Android stores use mobile app install ads. Not only that, we have the same targeting capability available for re-engagement purposes as well, where a person you've acquired but is probably not playing the game anymore because they got hooked to another game can be brought back to your game if they choose to do so by using the targeting capabilities that we have. It's something where, in this context, it's kind of important to talk about audience network and what today's launch mean for growing your games. Let's talk about it with a case study. So with the audience network, we're trying to give mobile app advertisers even more scale for their campaigns. So Gree runs this campaign for their really popular game, Knights and Dragons. And this campaign is going, yes. And this campaign works really well for them because it's targeting their high LTV users that they have and what we call lookalikes of those users on Facebook. So it works so well for them that they want more of it. They want more such users to be able to they want their ad to show up for more such users, and they want this ad to show up more often, because as everybody knows, sometimes after only a few times of looking at an ad, a person decides to click through and install that game. So with Audience Network, Gree has now has the ability to reach more of these users more often. An example of this is that now this ad, the exact same ad, is appearing on the screens of exactly the similar kind of audience, but through a different app as well. In this case, Le Monde is the app, which is a really popular app in France. And now this app is also able to surface this ad to people who we think are interested in this content. And now with this, Gree's app is able to reach more audience more frequently and more often. We took the learnings from mobile app install ads and we brought it to desktop as well. So a few months back, we created special units for both install and re-engagement for Canvas games on the web. And it's really easy to use. All you have to do is pick a game that you want to advertise, pick the targeting for the ad itself, and that's it. The game appears with really vivid creative on people's newsfeed when they visit Facebook or on the right-hand column. Nordeus ran this campaign for re-engaging users for the top 11 game. So after amassing, I think, more than 10 million users for the game, they ran this campaign which targeted only the players on the game with the goal of getting them back to the game. And they got more than 5x the return on their ad spend through this campaign. Let's talk about App Center a little bit. So we've talked about people inviting their friends or sharing game moments with their friends to play a game. We talked about how developers can reach the audience that they want to reach by buying game ads on Facebook. But there is a very important use case where lots of people every day want to find the game that they want to play right now. And they go to the Facebook App Center for that on the web. We've been thinking about how to improve the experience on the Facebook App Center, how to make it possible for people to find the games that they would like to play in a much more easy fashion, and thus drive growth to the ecosystem. So today, we are announcing a complete redesign for App Center on the web. It looks really good. If you look at it, it's very easy and intuitive to go through all the different genres of the game that we support. By the way, that functionality is there even on the current version of App Center, although I think this interface is better. But the main change here is that most of the top lists, like the homepage of App Center on web, is really personalized for the person's interest at this point of time. So So instead of surfacing the same set of targeted lists, same set of lists for every individual user, which says top games on Facebook, trending games for Facebook, etc., we are now surfacing the list for the games that we think this person likes. So if Constantin is a hardcore gamer and he likes a certain genre of games, the top list that we show on his App Center homepage are going to be tailored according to that interest. For me, as more of a casual gamer, I would probably see more like puzzle games, etc., on the homepage. We think this is a significantly better experience for people to be able to find the games that they want to play. And of course, if they want to try out something different, they can navigate through the standard set of UI that we have and just find the games that they want to play through that fashion as well. Now, one thing which is actually hard to see in a slide is just how fast it is. While redesigning it, we rebuilt the App Center on top of React JavaScript framework that we have. We actually open sourced it a couple of months back as well. And the UI is really fast. Like all the interactions that the user sees while navigating menus or just clicking through to games are just much, much snappier. Which brings me to the next point. When a user clicks on a game on the App Center, instead of navigating them to a different page which shows the details of the app, we have this pop-up app detail page, which is much faster, but at the same time still gives you all the information that you need to make a decision about whether you want to play this game or not. So there's a standard set of ratings and the game description there, and there's a social context right there as well. The thing I would like to highlight there is the game trailers. We launched game trailers on the current version of the App Center a few months back, and they've done really well. A lot of users go to the App Center and watch the game trailers before they decide whether to play a game or not to play that game. And this actually brings me to an important point about opportunity for developers. opportunity, or I would call it responsibility. With this UI available and these tools available for users to be able to find information about the game before they actually engage with the game, it's important for game developers to actually upload that content, because the kind of game trailers you have on the App Center, the kind of screenshot or description that you have, goes a long way for the user to make a decision whether they want to invest their time and potentially money in the long run in the game itself. Oh, the App Center, we are starting to roll out within a week or so to a limited set of users, and we'll be rolling it out aggressively after that. So at the high level, let's go over what we covered today. We talked about how people invite their friends and share the game moments with their friends, and that leads to a really good social dynamic, social engagement around the game, as well as leads to organic growth to the game. We talked about how we can use the ad system to target specifically the kind of people that we think would want to play this game and get them to your game. And we talked about how we can help user finding the game when they're actually looking for a game by giving them the right information about the game and building the right navigation model for them to use to get to the game. And of course, all of these things in today's world have to work cross-platform seamlessly, because people want to play a game where they are, whenever they want. We have a bunch of resources available for the things that we are talking about today. We have the Share Dialog, Request, Invitable Friends API, and the App Center documentation on those pages, as well as the overall game docs are there as well. Bunch of us from the games team will be hanging out by the garage most of the day today, so please stop by there if you have any questions or want to discuss something or give us feedback. We have time right now for Q&A as well, so I'd like to invite Constantin back on stage, and we can do the Q&A.
Questions? Anything?
Oh, we have 2 mics on both the sides. If you have questions, please.
All the way over there. Hey, this guy, yeah.
Hi, can you explain a little bit about the ranking for the invite friends and the requests and how that algorithm is laid out?
So I don't know how much about the actual algorithm that I can give you context on, but you can think of it kind of like in terms of global signals that we see about how people interact with games and requests. And as a result, we kind of determine who are the most likely candidates to accept this kind of stuff. Most of it is done in real time, so you would see like that list change pretty quickly, like if you invoke it a couple of times. But other than that, being more specific in terms of the signals, to be honest, I don't know all of them. But if you come by the garage, like maybe we can find the right person to talk to specifically.
I'll add one more thing. The thing that we optimize for here is the probability that the receiver of the request will actually want to click on it. And we think that's like the best way to make sure that this communication is high quality.
Hello. I have a question about the login dialog that a user see before installing the game. And there's in Insights, you see what the drop-off is, but you never know what the source of that user is. So do you guys think there's any plan to put that there so that you know where is that drop happening and which are your most valuable users? Are you losing your ad users? Are you losing your request users in that flow?
Yeah, so you're talking about the source, like where they click through from to get to your page, which then resulted in that?
Correct.
We're talking about a mobile game, or we're talking about a Canvas game?
Both.
So
I mean,
for a
you
Canvas
have the
game,
login one, right? The login, the GDP flow.
Yeah. So for the auth dialog, if you're on Canvas, we'll pass along a referral for where the click came from. It should be, I think it's FB_ref, but I should double check that. But yes, we should pass along the referral for where that click came from.
But the drop is the overall drop that your game is getting.
So you're saying within Insights, you want to see that breakdown?
By source of that.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable feedback. Like we should take that back. So I guess my short of it was like with that referral, you can track it yourself, but you basically want to see it in Insights is what you're asking for. Okay, let's talk. Come find me at the garage, and we'll talk about it in more detail.
Do you guys see the improvements you made to the web app center moving to mobile anytime soon? Is that something you're also working to improve?
The bigger question that we have is how best we can inform or improve game discovery on mobile, and we continue to invest in experiences around that on mobile as well.
Yes, so you talked about multi-friend selector and custom lists.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how it's going to work with the new login which Mark introduced today? Because now the users can actually turn off the friend list permission.
Yes. So
How
if
does that work?
so if a user has turned off friend list, then as a result, you won't get the, well, at least in this case, for the Invitable Friends API, you won't get a list of friends via API. In the case of a native dialog, we should talk more, but I believe that with the native dialog, that'll still work because this is UI that we render. So at that point, it's up to the user's discretion. It's not associated with the permission. Does that make sense?
So can we, on our side, just check if the friend list permission was granted?
Correct.
And then call our customized?
That's
or
exactly right.
That's
Yeah.
what
So you can hit the it's me/permissions endpoint, which will then let you know if you have the permission granted. That's right.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Anything about games that you guys want to talk about? Yes, over there.
Hopefully I can do it without the mic. So when it comes to trying to grow your audience as a game, have you guys seen better results with sharing and doing a shared dialogue that may generate a conversation that may then get a lot of users that haven't played the game before interacting, or direct one-to-one requests?
I would, at the high level, I think the answer to that question is what the game is. I think I think there is one way to think about it is in terms of like growth strategy, and the other way to think about it is in terms of the best user experience. And I think there would be cases where either of these approaches work if they fit well with the game. That would be my high level answer.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They're different use cases, right? Like if I'm personally inviting you to play something because I think that you'd find it valuable, is a different case than if I posted a screenshot of something that you then also like. Right? In one case it's targeted, in the other case it's not. So the short answer is do both, but it does depend on your game. Right up here in the corner.
You showed some changes to App Center, and if I saw it correctly, the detail page is now an overlay that you click away, and the rest of App Center is below. What happens when somebody clicks on the app in search? Because before you would go directly to the detail page.
Yeah, we do have the complete detail page as well. So if you navigate to the app directly, not through the App Center, then you would land on a complete detail page. It depends on where you're coming from. So we do have the complete detail page for those scenarios where a pop-up doesn't make sense.
Is that also redesigned? Because the layover is quite different from the current app detail page.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks.
This morning, they talked about funneling users from Canvas apps to mobile apps. My question is there something the other way if they install your mobile app first, a way to funnel them to the Canvas app? And also if there's anything we need to do to get ready for that and track how that's going and affecting our installs?
So the question is that if you have a person who's playing a game on mobile, your game on mobile, and it's connected to Facebook, how can they discover it on Canvas as well? This is something which we are iterating on as well. I think, so there's certain things where, if you look at, for example, My Games, even if you have tossed the game or signed up for that game on mobile, it will show up on your My Game section even on the web. So it's probably more around user expectation, how to surface those games better on web, and we continue to iterate on that. So no special announcement regarding that right now.
We're using your Play on mobile on our Canvas game to get installs on the mobile game, but we're not very clear how does that work, because that button shows up sometimes and it doesn't show sometimes for the same user. So
yeah.
What is the logic behind that button?
That sounds specific. We should again talk in the garage because I'm not sure what you're running into. So just come find us.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
You're mentioning the explicit sharing here. You're not mentioning anything about the implicit sharing, as in stream posts, etc. Does that mean it's not that important anymore? Or?
So this kind of gets to that player first or people first kind of language. I think explicit, generally, if we're trying to meet these goals of people being educated about what's being shared, when it's being shared, etc., explicit is the best way to meet those goals. So the short of it is, I think, is that you should be focusing on explicit shares, again, in these kind of great sharing experiences, and less about sharing kind of trivial moments in the background. That's not to say that all passive or implicit shares are trivial. But generally speaking, if it's a big story, like giving the user the opportunity to add a personal message and kind of dial up the audience or select the audience at runtime, should yield better results. Anything else? All right, cool. Thanks, guys. So we'll be in the garage. Feel free to come talk to us. You can also check out the Gamer Lounge. And again, check out the resources on the developer site, and you can get some more stuff there. Thanks.
Thank you.